I played through Mafia 2 recently and got loads of awesome video clips from it, so I thought I might as well make it into a full-blown review while I was at it. Mafia 2 is a weird mix of old and new. Despite having a sandbox city to explore, the quests you do are very scripted. It's almost like a game from the 90s but with newer graphics. And that's not a bad thing. I have fond memories of Driver 1 and 2, and this game seems to have been inspired by the series. Every mission you wake up and answer a phone to get a job of some kind. You've then got to drive to the destination, watch a cutscene, do more driving, get into a fight of some sort, then drive some more until it congratulates you and you go to bed for the next day. Driving about makes up most of this game's length. At points this is painfully obvious, and I found it annoying that the destination always seemed to be at the other side of a rather large city. Fortunately, the journey itself isn't too bad. You get to drive about in a number of old 40s vehicles. They don't handle too badly, but there's not a lot to differentiate between most of them. You get the occasional truck or hot rod, which changes the pace a bit, but these are often forced upon you as part of a mission. As you travel around the city, you have to loosely abide by the law, as getting spotted by police leads to a frustrating Metal Gear Solid style evasion which, although fun at first, soon becomes a chore that makes missions take longer. Fortunately, they're not hard to escape from, but once they've identified your car, or even worse, you then have to take extra measures before you can safely roam the streets again. The gunfights themselves are satisfying, clunky affairs, where you can drop enemies with a single well-placed shot. A heavy reliance on smaller weapons early on makes the bigger machine guns all the more rewarding once you get your hands on them. Between shots you rely on cover to keep you safe from the hail of bullets they bring your way. And hail they will. Although over 4 years old now, the game makes excellent use of physics. Things will shatter and explode, and by the end of a fight, the room's an absolute tip. The attention to detail really is fantastic, and it made the game more enjoyable, despite being just a graphical effect. Your character gets involved in a number of fist fights as the game progresses. These are simple, easy, and often short-lived encounters, which I think is a bit of a shame, since they were some of the most enjoyable parts of the game for me. You find yourself squaring off against bigger and butcher characters in the earlier parts of the game, wondering who you'll have to punch in the face next. And then they stop. It's as if part of the game dies young, and they really could have done more with it in my opinion. Still, they were fun while they lasted. I guess I should mention the story. I'm not particularly fond of Mafia films or lengthy cutscenes, but this game kept me hooked throughout. I think it's because it doesn't drop you in the deep end. You start as a little fish, and even towards the end you're vulnerable, being manipulated by higher forces. It's a good thing that it takes so much time to get going, since it was the small one-off jobs that I found the most interesting. The game does a great job of showing you a seemingly simple situation before revealing its true seediness later on when you take a tour behind the scenes. I can understand why people were disappointed with the ending, but I personally didn't mind it. It's the journey there that I care more about, and fortunately the game gets that bit right. The radio deserves a mention. You get to hear a selection of incredibly catchy old songs as you drive about. I normally only listen to Pet Shop Boys, but even I began humming some of the tunes. It's a nice touch that has been added to try and bring the world to life. The game isn't without its flaws. The checkpoints can be inconsistently placed. I don't mind having to redo bits if I die, but it's not fair when I have to attempt the entire mission again. What's more, the game insists on letting you do everything. You have to get up, get changed, leave your house, find a car, and then drive to your destination. Doing this for the first time in the game is okay, but the third or fourth time it really begins to get to you. You start to drive faster and more carelessly simply to get to the destination, and it's at times like these when the police become a real irritation. It's widely known that the city of Mafia 2 is lifeless when compared with other sandbox games like, say, Grand Theft Auto, but I have to repeat it. The developers have clearly worked hard to make it a convincing place. I love how it changes as the storyline progresses. It's just a genuine shame that there isn't actually more to do in the city, as this would have greatly increased the time I spent playing the game. It becomes boring and predictable, much like the sandbox mode on Driver 1 and 2. Occasionally you'll see a crime take place, or gangsters will open fire on people in the streets, but it doesn't have any real consequence. Don't play this game for the sandbox, play it for the missions. Think of the city as a backdrop for the storyline rather than as a key element of the game. In conclusion, this game comes as a very pleasant surprise. It delivers a simple yet remarkably polished and enthralling tale that I avidly played to the bitter end. The gameplay itself is basic, but the environments and ideas are inspired, and it's those elements that make the game so memorable. In some ways it reminds me of Half-Life 2, where different chapters introduce new variations on old themes. The developers show real imagination, and it's this that makes the game more fun than the sum of its parts would suggest. It's an old-fashioned sort of game, but it still has its appeal. I would happily play through it again at some point in the future, and very much look forward to the next game in the series.
Thanks for the ride, kid.
Thanks, Maria. I'll see you.